Good morning, everyone. I'm joined here by Superintendent Ward of one of the largest, I believe the largest school district in Onondaga County, the North Syracuse District. We just had a very engaging conversation with the committee that was put together to examine all the angles and possibilities and policies surrounding a cell phone or our distraction-free environment. New policy that's going to affect this fall. So we're very excited about it, and the engagement we had from students and teachers and administrators really is going to position this school district to be prepared for and to be able to handle very well the advent of this new policy. So it's a new day here in Syracuse as people are starting to really realize reality is setting in. There will no longer be cell phones and distraction devices in students' hands during the school day, and it's going to make a real difference in their lives. The quality of education they'll receive, their interpersonal skills will definitely improve, because right now you walk through a school, it is silent. No children are speaking to each other in the lunchrooms or in the cafeteria. They're not engaging, and they're not engaging as we all did when we were younger, making friends in person and having in-person conversations. So this is a new day for Syracuse, and we're on the verge. Just a short time from now, it's going to be very different. But this time next year, as I said, we're going to come back here and say, what took us so long? This is something we should have done a long time ago, and I'm glad I could be the governor who got this over the finish line. Any questions?
We'll start with on topic, Alan.
We had 400 schools have already submitted. Have you looked at them, or are they all pretty much the same? And how are you expecting the rest of the schools to be on time?
Well, they're all working on it. I mean, even administrators can be procrastinators just like students sometimes. And so I know that we'll be looking forward to full compliance this Friday. And again, I was reporting on 300 on Friday, and now it's 400. So the numbers are going up exponentially. And they've had time to work on this. Again, I commend the superintendent here for engaging even months before the bill was signed, because we had telegraphed this was going to be the case. And I said this last year. This is something I want to get in the next session. I expect to be successful, and it'll be in place in fall of 2025. So we gave a long runway for people to start contemplating this and putting together committees. And when they were able to see finally what the law was months ago, they could start doing the real work in earnest to put together a policy that'll work.
Governor, I know that each school district will have slightly different plans, there will be different variations, but is there a through line that you've seen to try to account for the hectic parts of the school day, like drop-off and pickup? Are we seeing situations where, you're going to see hundreds, if not thousands in some school districts, kids lining up to get their phones back or put them in somewhere at the beginning of the day?
Well, not a through line, because we have so many different size school districts. It's a challenge for the larger ones. Certainly I can have the superintendent address how they're going to manage that. But I didn't want to have one size fits all on even the storage or the discipline, because we respect local governments. We respect our school districts. But bottom line is, it was tough for many of them who knew it was the right thing to do, for them to say, we want to be one of the very few school districts in the state of New York to do this, or we'll leave it by building or by teacher to determine whether or not a student would have a cell phone in their possession throughout the day. So we took all the guessing out of it. I said I'll be the heavy for all of you. You can blame me, because it was tough to do it individually, because otherwise it would have happened by now. So if you want to address anything about how the...
Sure. So in our district, like the governor said, we're rather large. We're about 8,000 students. Our junior high and our CNS high school are the two buildings, and they have about 800 and 1,000 students in those buildings. So for us, there were all options were on the table. And in the end, we actually went with a Yonder pouch, which is something that a student can keep with them throughout the day, but it's a locked device, the locked pouch. So for us, at the end of the day, we're honestly, right now, we are figuring out at the end of the day, when you buy Yonder pouches, you get one unlocking device per 20 that you purchase. And so there's different types of unlocking devices. Some you carry as an administrator to help a student unlock a device, and some of them will be affixed to a wall, like near a classroom wall. So you can imagine at the end of the school day where we have classrooms, where we have kids in classrooms, that's where those unlocking devices will be on the door as they're walking out.
You mentioned the Yonder devices, both for you and for the governor. That company is getting quite a windfall through this policy indirectly. It seems quite a few districts are going that route. Somewhat ironically, if you go on social media, there's also quite a few videos of teens who have worked out how to break into those things fairly easily. Is there any concern that they won't work as intended?
I've said this earlier in a different, kids are resilient. They're going to find a way. It doesn't matter what you choose, whether it's leaving them in their lockers, right, and them having access to that. It's just something that we think this is the best solution. There really isn't a perfect solution out there to this, but we feel, especially in a large district, this is the best solution for us.
Any other on topic?
You mentioned the kind of preparing the kids for it, preparing the parents for it, and the weaning. As a dad and as a mom, can you talk a little bit about that, the engagement that's kind of required from parents to make this work?
No, we both would speak about it because this is the most challenging part because this is an addictive device. It's like asking young people to give up cigarettes overnight. It is that addictive. And that's why we wanted to start talking about this last year during session, even more aggressively now. I know your school district, Dr. Ward, has put out letters to every single parent. There's social media sites, constant communication with strategies. And I go back to something real basic as a mom. When summertime and the kids are out till 9:30 or 10 at night, but on a school night they're going to have to be settled down by 7, you start having them come in earlier, a little bit by little bit, and you start weaning them of that. And Dr. Ward will talk about a strategy he uses at home, but there are techniques, but I think it's also a lot of understanding from parents. You know, it's going to be important, and start the conversations now about why it's good for the students, that they'll emerge. They're going to have more friends in person. Those who are being bullied and mocked out, they won't be feeling that stress anymore. And you know, the parents can describe to their children what life was like without a cell phone in school. And I'd say it was a lot more lighthearted and joyful for the students who now are in really a depressed state, many of them, because of the addictive algorithms and the negative social media messages, as well as the constant mocking out that goes on. I mean, the number of, even a drama teacher would tell me that students won't try out for drama anymore. They won't try out for band because someone's going to capture a video and post it and mock them out. So that is enormous peer pressure that's out there. It will be gone. And so we have to start talking to students about how positive it's going to be. And, you know, bring in, a deck of cards at lunchtime if you want to do something with it. But at least you'll be communicating with other human beings at a level that was always the case until 10 years ago when it was decided not to enforce a ban on cell phones. And so we're in a new day now, and I think we're going to see some really positive results.
Yes, and I'm a dad of three teens, 17, 14, and 12. And what we do in our house in order to get ready for this new school year is on Mondays are distraction-free days in our house. And so on Mondays, my own children's cell phones go away. And guess what happens? What happens is the game closet, you go to the game closet, they take out, Governor said Uno, that's one of our favorites, by the way, Governor, is Uno. What we see as parents is the brothers and sisters, guess what? They're getting along. That's something I think I'm looking forward to in the cell phone ban piece at schools is to see exactly that, is to see kids getting along much better.
We're going to take one more on topic, Jeremy.
So what are some of the concerns that you've heard from parents about, Yonder pouches and kids not having access easily to their cell phones, and what's your response to that?
So for us, like I said, there is no perfect solution, but Yonder was our best solution. One of the feedback we got from parents was if there was a true emergency, what would happen, right? And kids feel more comfortable when it's on, when the cell phone is on them. Again, they can't use it, but it's on them. Parents feel more comfortable that it's on, their son or daughter type of thing. So for us, that's the reason we went with Yonder, is really that key piece of proximity in case of an emergency.
Governor, you mentioned are you gonna be sending tips to, is the health department involved, or are you gonna go through the school districts, or do you have?
To the school districts, we have teams we're working on this. Actually, Secretary Hillary Clinton is very engaged, and there's an organization that is mostly looking for teenage ambassadors to go out and talk to students, but also coming up with pointers for parents to make sure we get that information out there. And it's all evolving, but if you speak to parents from districts that have already taken the leap, and there aren't many in New York, but some have, Schoharie School District outside of Albany, they did this 2 years ago, and they would talk about the constant engagement with parents to help them get through this and the lessons they've learned. So we're trying to pull together a community of people who will be a resource for each other as well as provide actual documents. So that information is going out as well.
That's an important topic, so one more on topic from Connor.
Governor, just in addition to some of the concerns we've heard from parents and maybe some things that were brought up at the roundtable today, there's some 300-odd districts that haven't submitted a plan just yet, and we've heard from a few in our area, even this late in the game, that are saying, we've had a policy to make sure students that don't have their phone out in the middle of class, they're allowed it maybe at lunch or during recess, what have you. Bell to bell just doesn't work for us. Have you heard from districts that are putting up their hand and saying we can't do this?
No, this is a uniform state policy, and all districts will be expected to comply.
Are there any districts asking for help, though, to sort of get that done?
Helping, well, there's draft plans out there. Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of models out there. This is not a complicated process. But the complicated part is making sure that a school district does the adequate outreach to parents, so by September 1st, they feel they've had all their questions answered, their students are ready. So, this is a joint effort, but, the educational process comes down to districts, and a school district like North Syracuse is doing an incredible job with this outreach. It's really important. And every school district should understand there's tremendous value in having questions answered on the front end instead of having people worried about it on day one. And also, the number one concern that parents had is the same thing I had. What happens if there's a shooter on the grounds in the building? Don't you want your child to be able to contact their parents? Parents want to be able to contact their child. It turns out that's the worst thing that can happen. Police commissioners, sheriffs, district attorneys have all told me that if there's a crisis on campus, the last thing you want is that child to be fumbling for a cell phone, maybe videoing it, calling mom and dad. They'll be overheard. The cell phone can go off. It is a dangerous situation. And so they're directed to say, I will follow the person in the front of the room who's highly trained in exercises. The teacher knows what to do. Follow that teacher. Don't be looking to talk to your friends, your parents, and communicating on a cell phone, because that could be what leads a shooter to you. And when parents hear that, like, oh, I understand now. And that's what has to get out to the communities as well.
All right, we have time for one
All
off
right.
topic.
All
We'll
right.
let the
Thank you so much.
superintendent step away real quick.
Thank you. You know?
Connor.
Governor,
Okay.
just as a off topic here, in Madison County, the state recently approved a solar farm at Oxbow Hill. And this came after local officials effectively said no. The lion's share of the public comment period showed that the public wasn't very on board. What can you say to people who don't want these kind of projects in their community as the state moves forward with energy initiatives?
This is and I understand the frustration. I truly do. I was in local government for 14 years. But our options are limited. They truly are. We have an energy revolution going on right now, and we need to find alternative forms of powering our homes and our businesses that the state law before my time contemplating being shifted to electrical grids generated by wind and solar and hydro as well. Communities have to step up. I mean, it's hard, I understand this, but this will power 23,000 homes. What is the alternative? If we don't find ways to have renewable clean energy to protect our environment as dictated by our state law, all communities have to understand the important role they play. It is a transition, but we're not going back to the old days. We're not going back to, coal-powered generators or fossil fuels. We're trying really hard to take us to a future that's cleaner and safer for our children. So I understand the frustration, but there was a very robust public participation process. Voices were heard, but we also have laws that we have to follow as well. All right, thanks, everybody.